sorry, that cut off. So it's even better to suffer being just than to seemingly benefit being unjust. And this is going to go in the conclusion to Socrates' belief in the soul. The soul is the very core of the life, it's the very essence of the person. And the soul that is unjust, because justice is in, just like physicianing is under the realm of the physician, and piloting and captaining is under the realm of the captain. Um, the soul is kind of seen as the pilot or the captain of the person. And if they're not sound, if there's no soundness, if there's no justice in that, there's internal conflict, there's brokenness. If the person isn't just, their life is ultimately going to fall apart. Their life is ultimately not going to work. So I hope that kind of gives you a glimpse of what Socrates is doing. Try to go back through it with those things. Like I said, I'm posting that little clip, not clip, that a little kind of formulaic piece about what he's doing with um, justice. You know, if justice is for the sake of the ruler, and the most just thing is to obey the ruler, and all that, how that falls apart. I'll write that out for you. You'll be able to look at that. Hopefully that'll help. Um, for the rest of this week, we're going to really focus on this question of what is the good. For Socrates, the good is the health of the soul, because the soul is the very core of your being, of who you are. To be just is to have a healthy soul. To be virtuous is to have a healthy soul. That's the greatest good we saw, right, for Socrates. What I'm going to be challenging you to think about is what do you think good is? So there's some different philosophers' views of the good. We have Plato, Aristotle, Kant, and Nietzsche, so 4 kind of key philosophers. You can watch the little videos on that, what they thought was the good. Why is that important? Because to know what we ought to do requires that we know what we consider to be good. That's what Socrates was getting at with the training horses thing. If you want a good horse, you have to train it, you can't harm it. If you want a good dog, you have to train it, you can't harm it. If you want a good life, you have to train it. And life involves interaction with other people, so you have to train yourself or be trained by others in your interaction with others. It needs to be just, it needs to be virtuous and just. And it needs to come from your being, of who you are, your soul. Socrates isn't so much trying to make a metaphysical kind of spiritual religious argument, though he's not averse to that. He's not saying there is no such thing. But his focus is on your soul as lived out in this life, the health of that soul. What does that mean to have a healthy soul? To be virtuous. That's what he's trying to get at. He's trying to determine that meaning of justice that's like, 6 plus 6 equals 12. That logically works out. It stands firm against questions of logic and precision. So the good is the base. If we want a healthy soul, what does it mean? We want it to be good. We want it to benefit. What is benefit? Benefit has to do with goodness. What is good? That's something we have to answer if we're going to talk about ethics being objective or relative. So that's going to be a big part of our discussion as well. So we'll watch the videos on what the good is from the different perspectives. And you'll be reading some articles. You may want to kind of skim back through the Plato one with what I've said on it. But you definitely need to be reading part 2, and we need to be discussing in the discussion board whether ethics are objective or relative. So try to draw on the readings, try to draw on what I've said in this discussion. Try to think through, what do you understand to be the good in life? How does that play out in the way you should act, you ought to act? And how do laws relate to justice? How does justice relate to goodness? How does all that relate to right and wrong? These are the questions we're looking at. They're very serious questions, and they matter a lot. So let's take time to look at them, think them through, And hopefully this has helped you some.